Seeing as I'm currently burnt out, creatively exhausted, and devoid of fresh ideas, I figured now would be as good a time as any to discuss the MCU. I'm not here to pick apart the franchise's broader failings. Marvel fatigue set in ages ago for me, and disappointing has been the defining adjective for these films ever since Endgame came out.
I see this as an absolute win.
Despite several desperate attempts to right this ship, the studio's larger problems persist as a confluence of interdependent, unaddressed issues. God forbid you treat your VFX artists like people. In my opinion, the worst decision this company ever made was greenlighting all of these Disney Plus shows. They suck. This one sucks the most, though.
I'm disappointed in you.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, there's just so much to hate. My personal interest in the MCU is deader than most of its female leads, but I recently had the chance to catch up on all of the projects I've skipped since 2018, such as the consequence of being sick and bedridden for the entire month of February. Some of these films were pleasantly surprising, but the vast majority of them were unreal levels of bad.
Look at those! They are wonderful. Oh, look at that! Those things are beautiful.
Taika Waititi? More like Taika Waititi. Phase 4 isn't holistically good, but ironically enough, 2 of my favorite superhero movies are from this era. I am a staunch defender of Black Widow, and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is legitimately brilliant. Its fight scenes are phenomenal, almost all of the jokes land, and the soundtrack is simply stellar. The Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy receives a lot of praise for its seamless integration of licensed music, but that's just been a calling card of the MCU from day one. Iron Man had Back in Black, The Winter Soldier had It's Been a Long, Long Time, and Captain Marvel had I'm Just a Girl. Yes, I like that movie too. Fight me, internet trolls.
We got a store with.
Shang-Chi's soundtrack has plenty of decent hits, but the film's most important piece of music appears on neither of these CDs. Hotel California was the second single from the 1976 Eagles album of the same name. Critics refer to it as one of the best rock songs of all time. It's been inducted into both the Grammy and Rock and Roll Halls of Fame and has been certified platinum in 7 different countries. The track has left an indelible mark on society's collective consciousness and has been covered by dozens of other artists since it was first released. Yet no one can agree on what the lyrics mean. Fans have debated this topic for nearly half a century. My own parents don't see eye to eye on this subject. Even the band members can't settle on a single interpretation. Drummer and co-lead singer Don Henley has said the song is a journey from innocence to experience, as well as the Eagles' interpretation of the high life in Los Angeles. But he later contradicted this statement by claiming that it's not really about California. No single explanation has ever felt sufficiently satisfactory. Is the song a socio-political statement, or a commentary on the process of aging? Is it an indictment of the American dream, or an exploration of religious disillusionment? Does the song condemn the music industry as a whole, or are they just singing broadly about addiction and the conventional trappings of gluttony? The answer is C, all of the above. The answer is also D, none of the above.
What?
Subjectivity is a glorious monster within the world of literary criticism. Death of the author philosophy has gained some traction within modern critical circles, but a writer's intentions are often inextricable from the art that they create. You can only make so many excuses for Harry Potter when Joanne's terrible opinions taint nearly every facet of that franchise. This isn't necessarily the case with music composition. Any song that becomes popular is, on some level, defined by its universal applicability. But music's true power comes from any given listener's personal interpretation of the work. The ability to relate to a song isn't restricted to literally experiencing the contents of a specific verse or chorus. You don't have to be in love to understand the pathos of Taylor Swift's discography.
She would have made such a lovely bride. What a shame she's fucked in the head, they said.
The vagueness of Hotel California's lyrics is arguably its greatest strength. They help the song resonate well with a broader audience while simultaneously encouraging the development of thousands of unique explications. 2 people can translate the same line in entirely different ways, and each interpretation is ostensibly correct, because the story that's being told can be about practically anything. Shang-Chi makes several references to Hotel California throughout its runtime. It's a textbook implementation of the writing rule of 3. The first time it's mentioned is during what seems to be a harmless bout of exposition. Katie saved Sean from a childhood bully by belting it out as a distraction, thus beginning their storied friendship. This joke later reappears during a fight sequence in Macau. Katie employs the same tactic here, but her assailants are not so easily deterred.
On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair.
On the surface, this song selection appears to be fairly inconsequential. Katie refers to it as the art of confusion, which implies that singing any song in such a moment would produce similar results. But then the mid-credits scene rolled, and something clicked for me. At its core, The Legend of the Ten Rings is a story about grief. Ying Li's death permanently altered the fabric of Sean's family. Wenwu was so accustomed to immortality that he was completely ill-equipped to handle such a devastating loss. Time, or rather our lack thereof, is what makes life precious. We only have access to a finite number of moments, and this scarcity is what makes existence valuable. But humanity is really good at taking things for granted.
3 days turning to a week turned to a month, and a month turned to 6 years.
It's easy to lose yourself in the rhythm of each passing week and forget the fleeting nature of things when mundanity defines the bulk of your days. Wenwu is especially guilty of this. He used the 10 rings to accumulate an incredible amount of power and influence over the course of 1,000 years. His lack of worldly attachments made him all the more ruthless. The man cheated death for centuries, so he doesn't understand it to be an inevitable fact of life. This makes him a prime target for the Dweller in Darkness's manipulations.
咱们一家人很快就能在一起了。
Tragedy can either be an ice pick to the frozen heart of the human condition, or the very thing that freezes someone in time. I'm no stranger to this paralytic effect. In my experience, adulthood is just a never-ending period of bereavement, be it for loved ones, canceled TV shows, or local Italian restaurants. It's okay to feel the weight of those losses, but you can't let them crush you. Sorrow has the capacity to become one of the worst prisons imaginable because you're the only person who can craft an escape key. In other words,
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Within this context, Hotel California becomes an interesting exploration of grief as a form of purgatory. According to the song's narrator, every hotel guest is a prisoner of their own device, not unlike a person who's currently in mourning. Some dance to remember their loved ones, while others dance to forget. The pink champagne on ice can be read as a metaphor for bottled-up love. Mirrors on the ceiling is vivid imagery that further accentuates our understanding of living in limbo. They represent a perpetual state of self-reflection and one's inability to see what's right in front of them. Even as folks gather around to feast, they can't kill the quote-unquote beast with their steely knives.
Your weapons are useless against them.
Checking out of the hotel doesn't equal freedom because your life experiences will never leave you. An addict may successfully give up alcohol, but every subsequent day will be defined by the banality of not drinking. Finding the passage back to the place you were before is impossible because we as a species are only programmed to receive. Our unpleasant memories accumulate like water and assume damaging shapes. You will likely feel the absence of what you lost for the rest of your days.
She was gone, and we needed you. But you chose those damn rings over us!
Katie's mother claims that moving on is an American idea, but in a fitting turn of events, Sean only begins to process his trauma once he leaves the States and confronts his past.
You changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Yeah, I don't...
I wonder how your father found you.
A common critique of this film is that there are too many flashback sequences, which is not an inaccurate assessment. These scenes, though narratively essential, tend to kill the movie's pacing. But I'm willing to defend this editing choice within a thematic context. Grief is a non-linear emotion. It rears its ugly head whenever it wants. You don't have control over these sorrow-tinted memories. They crop up uninvited like weeds in a garden, and that root system will continue to linger even after you've plucked everything out.
You trained your son to be a killer. Is this what you wanted?
The 5 stages of grief are not a proven science, but Sean and his surviving family members are each afflicted with their own manifestations of denial, anger, bargaining, and depression. Yang Nan is the only one who's reached the acceptance stage because Ta Lo's culture respects the natural order of things. Life is cyclical, not unlike the 10 rings. To move forward is not to forge a new path, but to recontextualize your previous steps and understand how they'll inform your future. Yang Nan isn't just another mentor figure. She's the woman standing in the doorway who lights up a candle to show Sean the way.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family, the good and the bad. It is all a part of who you are.
If grief is love persisting, then love's persistence is demonstrated through the ways in which we integrate our loved ones' lessons into our daily lives. Sean defeats the Dweller in Darkness by using both of his parents' fighting techniques, and this victory is underscored by his new heroic leitmotif, a perfect blend of Wenwu and Ying Li's musical themes. Sean is no longer hiding from himself. He's finally checked out of the hotel.
And though we will always hold on to their memories, tonight we release them to rest with our ancestors.
Do I think the filmmakers intended for all of these lyrical parallels when they bought the rights to use this song? No. But I do think it's interesting that the Eagles were okay with Hotel California appearing in The Legend of the Ten Rings at all. The band is notoriously reluctant when it comes to licensing their music, so its appearance here is definitely worth a closer look.
Does that make Wangbo one of the pretty boys that she calls friend?
Yes.
Wangbo, you saw that? That was tight!
This video is brought to you by my patrons, who are probably really disappointed that I wrote this instead of a review for Arcane Season 2. I promise I'm working on one, y'all. That show's just so incredibly dense. Until next time, take care.